All right, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today I've got a special guest here, my good friend Reed Adams. Welcome to the podcast, Reed.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ollie. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And today we got a pretty spicy topic, I think.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the topic of lying. And Reed, I was told that you actually have a bachelor's degree in lying.
Bachelor's degree? Well, that's the
true?
thing, right? Yeah, like I did my research, right? Like I think I got enough under my, in my head, right? About lying. So I think, you could recognize me as like a bachelor of arts with lying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Has that ever happened to you where like you'll say a joke to somebody and they end up calling you a liar for it? Because I was just gonna say, like, we'll start it off, tell everybody Reed has a bachelor's degree in lying.
Yeah.
But this is kind of one of those examples where we're not necessarily lying, I don't think, because it's meant to be a joke, and most people should understand that.
Yeah.
But has that happened to you before? That's definitely happened to me, where I say a joke and maybe I like say it with a straight face or something.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "Oh, you're a liar," and I'm like, "No, I was just kidding."
Yeah. So I don't know about the people you surround yourself with, but a lot of people I surround myself with are easygoing.
Right.
Yeah. So like no one will call me out like right away. You know what I mean? Like there won't be like direct confrontation saying like,
no fist thrown.
You're a liar. Can I swear, by the way?
Yeah.
It's like you're a fucking liar. You know what I mean? It's like not. So no, but there has been a lot of times where people, like, I've told a joke and to me it's obviously a joke, but th'll be like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, it's like, no, I'm not, like, I'm joking. And like, especially with people you don't know that well, you can't be making, when you do make jokes like that, you have to say like, I'm joking, like I'm not actually a BA. I don't have my BA in lying, you know what I mean? And like early on in relationships and stuff, you can't be, well, you can, but you just have to let them know you're joking, and it might be awkward if you don't, what I mean?
You can't be throwing out some inside jokes on like the first time you meet somebody or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't be talking about quarter tune and half tune,
right.
Be like, they'll be like, "What are you talking about?" Right?
Yeah. So like that's one example where it's kind of maybe in a gray zone where you could say something that's not true, but if it's for a joke, then maybe it's acceptable. So like I feel like maybe right off the bat we'll kind of just clear it up. Like, what is a lie? Like, is there like a definition?
Like a definition? Yeah. Well, it's like there's there's a bunch of types of lying, but like a lot of times, people will lie to like protect themselves or maybe protect other people, or to like, I think it's just a way of maybe even like, and also boasting yourself and making yourself seem better. So it's like obviously the social thing, construct, I guess you would say, that we like humans have obviously developed to make it like make themselves be seen in a better light, or like protect themselves from some like a bad outcome if they were to tell the truth, sort of thing. Yeah,
there's a lot of different reasons, and it is so common. I was looking it up, and apparently on average people lie once a day, like 1 to 2 times a day, which is like pretty insane. But I don't know what these lies are, right? Like there could be pretty minor, like there's obviously the term white lie. People tend to do that far more often, but I did see I was reading this book called Lying.
That makes sense.
It works pretty well. And the guy gave a definition of lying, and he was saying when you're intentionally misleading people when they expect honest communication. So that excludes like a magician or like a comedian or like somebody who you're not expecting them to tell you the truth.
You're not going to them for like, I don't know, to like for actual pertinent information, you know what I mean? You're not going to them and be like, "Hey, like what stocks should I invest in Air Canada?" And they're like, "Yeah, you'll double your money in a month." It's like, he could be a comedian, he makes that joke, but you're not going to that comedian for like actual stock advice,
You're not expecting them to be honest.
If you are, you're playing yourself, right? Like if you're asking the comedian at the comedian show or the comedy show what stocks to invest in, you're a bit of a donkey,
Yeah, that's the thing where it's like if you do say a joke and somebody just takes it serious when really they should have understood, it's like, that's on you kind of. If you go like, if you like take that and then you go buy like whatever stocks it was, let's say the joke was about stocks.
Yeah.
And then they lose all their money and they're like, what the hell? Like, it's like, that's kind of on you.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you're saying, there's so many different reasons why people might lie, and why it's such a common thing. And I want to get into those, but I did actually want to ask you.
Yeah.
As when I showed you the list of potential topics. For anybody listening, I had a list of different topics, and I handed it over to Reed. I was like, let me know what you think. Let me know if any of these interest you. And this one, lying, it was calling your name. It popped out at you.
It did, yeah.
Well, I was just wondering why is that? Obviously, it was on my list. I think it's an interesting topic as well, but just wondering.
Well, yeah, no, great question, Ollie. Great question. And the thing is, like, I personally, like, I'm laughing, right?
Yeah.
But I personally see myself and hold myself to that high standard of being a pretty truthful, like, honest person.
Yeah.
And sometimes to like a fault, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in whatever situation, it's like, okay, maybe, you know, someone's asking me, okay, how do I look in this or whatever? And you know, the white lie, right, would be to say, no, you know, you look pretty good, you know, you look great. Or to, like, you know, protecting their feelings, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say, yeah, you look good, but it's like, you know, I'll tell them the truth. I'll say, you know, it's not the best fitting shirt, right?
Yeah.
It's, you know, not tight on the arms or whatever. It's just like baggy.
Yeah.
It's like, it looks kind of bad, but yeah, no, I think, and I think it's a good thing, right?
I think so too.
Because like you can just be, because then, what if that person goes out and is wearing that shitty shirt?
Yeah.
And let's say we're going out, you know what I mean? You're going downtown and this person's single or whatever. Like, what do you think of this shirt?
Right.
You think it looks good? And I'm like, yeah, man, it looks good. It looks really good.
It looks horrible.
And then no one talks to them. They don't get any action for the entire night because, you know, they look like a slob.
Right.
So you got to let people know the truth. You know what I mean? You can't be sugarcoating everything.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. And especially if you're the type of person to tell people the truth when they're wearing a bad shirt or their hair is looking like shit or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They'll also see your compliments as so much more valuable.
Exactly.
Because they know this guy's not going to just bullshit me and say whatever I want to hear.
Yeah.
So you are going to get the times where you just kind of maybe rip people apart.
Make them feel like
you might occasionally make people feel bad, but when you give them a good compliment and you're like, oh, that shirt's really nice, they're like, okay.
They'll get fired up.
He's going to call me out if my shirt looks bad.
Yeah.
So this actually is true.
Yeah.
Whereas there might be some people where they're going to tell you your shirt looks good no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that compliment starts to become more and more meaningless the like more you hear it.
Cheap compliment. Yeah, exactly. Like, you want what you say to be, you know, just in general, you want what you say to be valued. You don't want to be the person who's known as just the bullshit artist, right? It's like, okay, well, Reed's saying that again. Like, who cares? He doesn't actually mean it.
Yeah.
Like, you want what you're saying to be taken, like, at, you know, like, seen at a pretty high value, right?
Yeah, and that definitely is a tough one for a lot of people, especially people that tend to be like agreeable personality types or like people pleasing tendencies, which is a shame because I feel like the agreeableness it comes from a good side. Like, you want to be nice and stuff.
Yeah.
But the ultimate outcome could actually be negative if you're just constantly just agreeing or saying whatever the other person wants to hear. Because I'll see some people like that where, like, you know, they're really nice people and they have a tough time saying, oh no, that shirt actually is bad.
That shirt is gross.
Yeah. Is that something you've ever like struggled with, or you've always been pretty good at saying like, no, to be honest, like, that shirt is fucking horrible?
Well, exactly. Well, it goes back to what I was saying about, you know, knowing somebody, right?
Yeah.
The more you know someone, the more honest you can be with them, right? And I think in the best relationships, you're as honest. Like, you guys are just, you should be dead honest with each other.
Right.
And just saying what's what right off the bat. Shirt looks like shit. Shirt looks great. For that sort of thing, right? So Yeah, no, I definitely think that I actually just lost my train of thought there a little bit, but yeah, no.
It definitely really simplifies things, and that's one of the main things I feel like why it's so beneficial to try to be as honest as possible is because if you're lying about whether you like somebody's shirt or what you did the other day or like whatever other type of lie it potentially could be, it adds so much more confusion to your life and the people's lives that you're talking to, because they now are confused whether you are complimenting their shirt or you're not. They're not sure if when you said that last night you did this crazy thing, you actually did it. And it's just like it adds so much more confusion and it's so much it's a much more challenging relationship to deal with. And then for your own sake, if you're the liar and you're saying all these things, it's just so much more of a headache because you have to keep track of these parallel like stories that are conflicting.
Well, exactly.
And you might run into problems where it's like, wait, you said that, but it's just like, if you just always say what is true to you, you're never going to run into those problems.
It's easy to tell the truth. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's hard to make up lies, you know? Right. And especially if you're building your entire life off of lies, like you're just lying to everyone you meet to make yourself sound good. You're going to run into trouble. Like you said, you're going to forget that you lied to this person, unless you're like a pathological liar, you know what I mean? Unless you're like a bit of a sociopath, which is what that is, then, you know, you're going to mess up. You're going to mess up. And that kind of, like, it reminds me of the, you know, have you seen on YouTube the JCS criminal psychology YouTube channel?
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
what's on it?
It's basically like it's really cool. It's like these videos of interrogations, like criminal interrogations, like real life stuff. And so the one I just watched recently, it was called Jennifer's Solution, and what she did was she her parents, like, she was born in this into this Asian household, like Vietnamese, I think, and her parents were really, really strict and really, really demanding of her. And to the point where she had a boyfriend, and she wanted to, like, her parents didn't approve of him, and so like they gave her the ultimatum: you either go live with him, or if you stay with us, or you live with him and we're disowning you. She chose to live with them, but then it got to the point. What she did was she talked to the boyfriend and arranged, like, got some of his fucking goons, because he's a drug dealer, to come to stage a home invasion and murder her parents.
Jesus.
And so what happened was well, I'll spoil it, whatever. It's a YouTube. So she, and that happened anyway. So the people came, they killed the mother, and they shot the father, but he didn't die. And so, she was brought in as a witness at first, and then they were a bit sussed out because they were like, her story wasn't making sense. It wasn't adding up. And she was just telling lies, right? She was saying, I don't know what happened. Obviously, she was the one who arranged it. And so she was a witness, and then they brought her in as a suspect, and they weren't actually interrogating her, and they had the big dog interrogator, like the pro. And he was like, catching her in her lies, and she couldn't keep up the act of being like, so heartbroken and emotional about her parents, getting killed.
Right.
And lie at the same time, lie convincingly at the same time. Yeah. Like you can't, like, even like the guy who narrates the channel was like, he was getting into the psychology of it, and he was saying even like the best actors would have, like, they can act it out, but if they wouldn't be able to, like, genuinely be in that situation and like be able to communicate their lies at the same time, like, it was it's
They'd
too hard.
Forget details and stuff, like
it's too hard to lie like that, you know what I mean?
Right.
To do both, like, act emotionally like distraught, and convey this false information perfectly. And so she was like 24, she has no acting experience, this, that, etc. She's not a sociopath. So she was like constantly getting caught out in a lie here, lie there. And it, yeah.
I mean, like, she might have been a bit of a sociopath to stage that.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's something wrong,
something
right?
Something is definitely up with that.
But yeah, it's just like to bring it full circle. It's hard to lie consistently unless you are
a psychopath or
literal psychopath, sociopath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because the thing is, it's scary too when you see people lie like that. And it doesn't even have to be over such a severe situation. Mm-hmm. I find even when I see people just lying about minor things, it's scary to a certain degree where it's like, okay, like I want to proceed with caution a little bit with you. You know what I mean? Where like if you see them, I don't know. And the thing is, a lot of these times, like, because lying's so common, like I said, the average person's lying once a day.
Yeah.
It's not like these people are super evil, but it always kind of turns me off, or like is like, I want to be a bit cautious when like I see people lying, like and they don't necessarily need to be lying to me. Like I'll see them lie to somebody else, and I'm like, oh shit, like you could easily do that to me.
You could do that to me, no problem. Yeah, and they like might look back at you when that other person leaves and be like, yeah, I got him there or whatever, and you're like, that's funny, but you could be, like you said, what stops you from lying to me? When we do something else, you know what I mean?
It definitely is sketchy.
Like, what if let's say you're with a new girl for first date or whatever, or a couple dates. Let's say you could go to the mall, like old school, you know what I mean? And she goes and she sees something she likes, and she brings it up and says, oh yeah, it was supposed to be on sale, you know what I mean, and gets like a discount.
Oh, okay. Like what she says that to the cashier?
Yeah, says that to the cashier, and she's like, the cashier's like, oh, sorry, and puts in the discount, gets the money off of the shirt. We love shirts. What would your reaction be to that? Would you be like, because she's just kind of she's smart, so because she's like, she's trying to save some money, or she's like, oh, this person's a bit deceitful, scumbag, maybe I shouldn't be getting involved with her? Or is that small enough of an offense, air quotes, that it's not too bad?
I would definitely be sketched out by that, especially by the ease to which she seemingly would tell the cashier that. Like, if there was literally like no hesitation, no like it was almost like if it was like psychopath, like where it's just like she almost believed that it was on sale as well when she's telling the cashier, like it was on sale, like getting mad, like it was on sale, like what do you mean? And
that's another great point.
I just even though it's like, okay, now maybe we leave the store and now you're like, hey, I saved $20, I'll like want some pizza or something. Like if she offers you that, it's still like, wait a sec, like that was just kind of weird how you did that so easily.
And too easy. So
now when I'm talking to you and you say something like, oh no, I didn't spend $100 on this shirt, like let's say she borrows your credit card or something. Dangerous play for sure.
But like 3 dates in, borrows the credit card.
But let's say that happens and she comes back being like, oh no, I only spent $100.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's Gucci. Like there's no way that's $100. That was probably 200. And like just things like that, like you would have to be second guessing a lot of what she's saying.
Yeah.
And that could be just based on you seeing her lie to other people. So I don't know. I feel like it's that one I would definitely be thrown off and be a little
baited out for sure.
A little bit baited out. For some reason I'm thinking, I don't know, it might be I don't know. That's a tough situation.
It's a tough one. Yeah. Well, no, I'd be with you. Yeah. It's like, okay, it was a little too easy, and you're showing your true colors right off the bat. You're a liar.
Right.
Like, maybe, like, sure, we get a nice extra large pizza at Milano's.
But Milano's pretty good.
But Milano's really good. But it's like, okay, maybe I don't want to be involved with someone who's that quick of a liar.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, for example, this happened kind of recently to me. My girlfriend got me this Emma got me this
Milano's?
No, got me a Milano's pizza. No, she got me this reusable Starbucks mug.
Yeah.
And me being the donkey I am, I sat it down like on the table, and it was on a wine bottle and it broke. Like the top of it kind of, see, I almost lied there. I almost said the table, which is a lie. But yikes. Anyways, so I laid it on a wine bottle and it just broke. Like I tapped it and it broke.
The wine bottle broke?
No, the mug.
Oh,
the mug broke.
Fragile.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, it was like, oh, this is obviously shitty. Yeah. But I'm like, don't worry about it. You know, me being the honest person I am, we'll just go and lie to the people.
There you go. Yeah.
The people at Starbucks and say, "Oh, it was broken when we got it." And, you know, and Emma is very, very sweet person. She's like, "Oh, I don't know. They might find out." It's like, listen, Big Daddy Starbucks isn't gonna be losing sleep at night over this. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
So like we went, and we exchanged. We're like, "Yeah, I was broken," and they're like, "Oh, no problem." It's like people our age. Working at the Loblaws, Starbucks, and Vanier, right? They don't give a shit. No. They're like, hey, okay, here you go, and we got a new one, and it wasn't broken. So
that's a good point. How like it probably is easier to lie to people that you're not as they don't seem as like innocent in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier to lie to Starbucks, the company, or McDonald's or something than it is like a elderly lady or whatever. Like it definitely would be easier in that sense. I wonder though if you told them, hey, because I'm almost just surprised by how easy that thing broke. So like
it was kind of it was kind of shocking how easy
like,
it was.
This thing broke, but I just put it down. There must have been something wrong with it. Like I think like
cheap ceramic.
Yeah,
I guess. But no, it was. I probably should have just been like, this is a shit product. You know, like, give me my money back.
Take this off the shelves.
Give me my money. Remove this. Discontinue this. Recall it. But lying to the kid at the lemonade stand. And charge 25 cents for a cup, and you say, "This tastes bad. I want my money back," even though it tastes great. It's like that's kind of the morality. It's like it's easy to rationalize lying to people who probably wouldn't feel any negative effects kind of like felt. There wouldn't be, there's no consequences to Starbucks. Me taking a free mug at Starbucks. Not that I didn't steal. This isn't stealing.
Right.
It was a transaction, but like, you know what I mean? It's not. It's a lot. I think it's easier to rationalize and make you feel like morally, my moral compass isn't going off the charts when I lie to Starbucks,
especially with money type situations where you're just getting a free cup, or maybe you leave there without they put a discount on your Milano's pizza and you didn't deserve it, and you're like, oh, whatever, it's Milano's. It's easier, and Milano's is a smaller company, and so maybe you feel a little bit more bad, but
I don't want to scam my friends at Milano's.
The thing is though, do you think it could be like a bit of a slippery slope, like a bit of a
once you get a taste
once you get a taste that you're lying about Starbucks cups, next thing you know you're telling your grandma some complete lies.
You're telling my grandma I'm the mayor of Ottawa. No, I think so. It depends on, I think, your personality, right? You can recognize that, okay, I lied to Starbucks, like it's and that's a kind of like a one-off.
Never gonna sponsor the podcast.
not getting any Starbucks pub or any sponsorship dollars. But no, like I think that if you are smart enough, honestly, it comes down to like how smart you are. You know what I mean? If you're dumb enough to think, oh my god, this is so easy, I'm just going to try this everywhere. You're going to run into problems. Like, you're going to go to your work and say, oh yeah, I've got it done. You know what I mean? I've finished the project. And they're like, well, or like, I'll have it done soon. And then it's like, okay, well, where is it?
Right.
You're like, oh, well, then you're going to have to make up another lie and say that, oh, I was busy, when in reality you're online shopping. You know what I mean? When you should have been working. And then it's like, okay, well, that gets yourself into trouble. So I think you just got to recognize, you pick your spots. It's like, okay, like lying here to the Mr. Starbucks is fine, but I can't be doing this in everyday life because I'm gonna run into trouble pretty quickly.
The thing I'm thinking though is that you might, if you're lying to Starbucks and other companies and you're doing it fairly frequently, you might start to lower your own internal resistance to lying. Like when you think about lying, there's a bit of resistance probably where you're like, no, that's a bad idea. Like I should be honest.
Yeah.
But if you're lying, regardless of whether it's to your grandma or to Starbucks, I think you might, if you're doing it all the time, like let's say on a weekly basis, you're going in line to Starbucks.
Yeah.
You might be starting to lower that resistance where you no longer feel so bad when you have a thought about lying. Like you're no longer like, oh no, I probably shouldn't do that. I should say the right thing.
Yeah.
You almost are developing like a habit or habit of just being like, oh, whatever, I'll just say this even though it's not true.
Right. And yeah, that I guess, it could be a possibility, but I still think for me personally, maybe just because I don't do it enough and I haven't been tainted.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like I tell the truth to the people that, and like people that I care about, and maybe even people that I don't like. Okay, let's say there's someone on the street. It's the human element that makes it. It's like, even though I lied to those people my age at Starbucks, it's like I know who they're working for and I know they don't care, and I know me doing this isn't going to affect them.
Yeah.
But it's like,
there might be some Karen managers that really do care.
Well, that's the thing. If I see them and they're like a middle-aged white woman, shout out middle-aged white women, but like I'm probably going to be a bit more hesitant because it's like they might take their cashier job, it's their barista job at Starbucks in Loblaws a little more seriously. But yeah.
Right. You brought up just kind of lying to, or like if you're just talking to somebody on the street, how you wouldn't be lying to them. And that reminded me of a situation where I'm definitely guilty of, where homeless people have asked me, hey, do you have any money?
Didn't you say you only got 20s on
and
you?
I say, yeah, a little inside joke reference there. Some people are gonna love that one.
Some people are gonna really love that one.
But no, where I'm like, no, sorry, I don't have any cash. I don't have any change.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy way out.
Because that avoids confrontation. Like it's one of the reasons why, like we said, why people lie.
Yeah, because I don't want to. I'd rather say that than say, you know what, I actually do have some money, but I don't want to give it to you. I'm not
going to give it to your mom ass.
Yeah. So yeah, you'd rather say that. But the thing is, I think a lot of lies could actually be avoided by just being a little bit more like thoughtful in a sense. This one's tricky. I haven't really thought about it too much, but like the truth is, you don't want to give it to them because you don't know what they're going to spend it on, and maybe you could say that like
on smack.
Like you could say that maybe even like, hey, I don't know, like I don't know what you're going to spend it on. Why do you need this money? And I've gotten into some conversations with people asking me for money before.
Talk to the local homeless people.
Because one guy was asking me if he can borrow my phone, and I'm like, what do you need it for? Like, why do you? And like this whole time I'm thinking like, this makes no sense. Everything he brought up, he's like, oh, I lost my phone and my credit card got canceled. I don't know. It's all this like nonsense. And, in those situations, it can still be tough to just say the truth, which is like, sorry, I don't know what you're going to do with my phone, and I don't know what you're going to spend the money on. And so like sometimes I'll almost hope that I actually have no change in my wallet so that I can comfortably just be like, yeah, I don't have any change. I just have credit card. Like, I just have a card.
Exactly.
And then that's like
take money out for
you walk away like feeling like, oh, I didn't even lie, and that's it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I guess it's kind of bad in a sense. It's like, okay, I'm not gonna feel bad to lie to Joe homeless. Yeah. You know what I mean? And other people, I know they're like, oh, I feel bad for the homeless person. Like, and I'm gonna seem like a bit of an asshole here, but. It's like if you feel bad for lying, let's say you had $5 on you or whatever, a couple toonies. If you feel bad lying to the homeless person, like every homeless person, there's a lot of homeless people, especially if you live closer downtown.
Yeah,
they're kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Ranting on homeless people right now, but it's like you're gonna stress yourself out too much if you're worrying about lying to homeless people about the money you have.
Yeah.
Like if you want to, and if you feel bad, donate to like charity, like supporting the shelter. There's other ways to support the homeless people. And if they want the help, they can go to the shelter and get it. I know it's easier said than done, and like, et cetera, but I think that there's better ways to support. Like it's
definitely,
and it's like
not the best way,
exactly, because you don't know what they're gonna do, and it's like, okay, it's like the whole moral point is like, okay, sure, you might be lying to them, but then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go repay my moral debt by donating to the local homeless shelter or whatever, right?
Yeah. And I guess a lot of time you could just say less too. Like, I'm thinking about it now. You could easily just say no, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well,
exactly. That's just like,
it's like,
you don't need to give an explanation.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I only have 20s. I can't give you any, or like, you don't actually necessarily need any explanation for a lot of situations where, like, if you're afraid of hurting somebody's feelings, I think it's fine to just give less information, especially when they didn't specifically ask, hey, do you have any like, I don't know, whatever, like a
couple toonies?
Yeah, do you have like any toonies? Do you have like specifics? Which is uncommon. Usually it's like, hey, do you have any money you could spare? No, sorry, I don't. Or
you just it's like I guess you're technically withholding information.
But then even that is maybe a lie,
that's a
you
form.
Do have money to spare.
Yeah, it's like well, when you think of it, it's like if we all have money, like if everybody we wanted to, we could, everyone
has some money.
Give
to
some
spare.
money to the homeless person, but often I don't have change on me or whatever. But like withholding information, like it is a form of lying, right? But it's like in that situation, it all depends on your moral compass and what you think is right and wrong. But me personally, lying to the homeless person, saying I look, or just saying like no sorry, it's like. Like you said, you're not saying I don't have any cash, but no, you're just telling them no. Yeah,
the reason might be I don't know what you're going to spend it on, or it could be I don't have any cash, but they didn't ask what's the reason. It's just like no, exactly. I don't have it.
And I guess it depends on how they ask. If he says, "You got any spare change?" and if you say no, sure, technically you're lying. Right. But if he says spare some change, bruv, then you say no. Yeah, I don't want to spare some change. No, bro. Yeah, I'm not helping you, mate.
It can be. It can be definitely. There's definitely some tricky situations that are tougher to deal with, where you want to stay honest, but it can be challenging. And I wanted to bring up some potential examples with you where it might be tough to say the truth, but we'll try to figure out how can we navigate this so you end up saying the honest thing. Yeah. But do it in a way that hurts people's feelings less. Because I think there's definitely, you can just be super blunt and harsh, and you're like, oh, I'm just saying the truth. But like, there's definitely ways of being honest, but being a little bit more cautious and friendly with it. So we kind of went over what lying is, why it's bad for you and bad for others, and kind of why it's better to live a life of honesty. And now I want to do some examples. So the first one is, let's say one of your friends is he really loves basketball.
I know a guy.
But you might not know this guy, or you probably do. Well, you tell me. But he's like he's in love with basketball. He plays it all the time, but he's kind of garbage. Like his shooting's really, really bad, dribbling kind of horrible. Doesn't have the greatest hops, like all this. Yeah. And he's not too great, but he loves the sport, and he tries pretty hard. And one day he comes to you and says, hey, I was just at Lansdowne playing some pickup basketball, and all these guys were roasting me, saying like, let him shoot, like just making fun of me and stuff. And he's like, they're saying I was really bad at basketball. Yeah. He's like, I think I'm pretty good. Like, what do you think? Do you think I'm a good player? And he loves basketball, but in your honest opinion, he's not very good. How do we deal with that one? How do you
deal with that one? Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think you got to tell him. You got to tell him what's up. Yeah. And especially if you know what. It's like if you know basketball and you know specifically what he's bad, like you said, doesn't have the best handles, his shot's garbage, and he can't jump. Right. Like those are. It's like you wanna. I think that's what you want. That's what you need in basketball, right? So I think you got to be honest with him. I'd be honest with him, and I'd say, look, man. Yeah, no, like I'm sorry, but you know, they got a point.
Right. Yeah.
Like you got to ask them and say, like, think for yourself. Do you think you have a great shot?
Yeah.
Do you think, you know, your handles are the best?
Mm-hmm.
Could your jump get better? You know, you gotta, like, so pretend I'm talking, you're him.
Right.
Like, hey man, think of these 3 things I listed.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you think you could improve on them? Like, think of your shot, you know, when we play.
Yeah, I mean, my shot's pretty good though, no? Like,
yeah,
I'm good from the 3-point line, yeah.
Well, you know, when I'm looking at you're shooting about like 5%. Like that's pretty low.
At least 10.
Yeah, at least 10. Well, and exactly, right? Like, that's not the best. So I think you'd have to you'd have to tell them the truth. I would say, look, man, and then let's say to that point, I was kind of sugarcoating it and saying you're not that, you're not that bad. You're pretty good, which wouldn't be it. Like I said, it isn't really my style.
Yeah.
Then he might be like, oh, why have you been telling me all along that I've been good, and now that I get rocked over at pickup at Lansdowne, people are calling me out, now you're telling me I'm bad? It's like, well, that would be a tricky situation, but you got to tell him. I think, in my opinion, you have to tell him, look, man, there's things that you got to improve. And I think if you do improve these things, you'll get a lot better. You love the sport. You have the dedication. You will probably put the time in because you love it so much.
What if, let's say, they already put the time in 20 years? And now what are you doing?
Trying to pick up a different sport, buddy. No, that makes it even harder.
Yeah.
But it's like, you got to tell him. And you know what? This guy, X person, right?
I think that's even more reason to tell them, because you don't want them to spending more. Let's say they are completely delusional and they're thinking they're going to go to the NBA, and instead of spending time where it could be more beneficial for them in their life, they're still just playing 4 hours a day on the basketball, but somehow it's still bad. Just for this example, we'll say that they play it all the time and they're still really bad. I agree. I think you still and I hope that's the almost consensus with the whole podcast, is like, it's always better to say the truth. Yeah, exactly. And in this situation is no different, where you'd want to tell them, I like, comparative to some of these guys at Lansdowne, maybe get them agreeing with you. Like, do you think, like, if were these guys beating you, do you consistently get beat by these guys? Yeah. Like, and also, like, what does basketball mean to you? Because all that kind of softens the blow a little bit. It's like, look, are you really think you're going to go to the NBA? Like, what is basketball to you? Like, is it that bad if you're not a great player? Like, is basketball your life, or is this just something you like to have fun with on the weekends? And do you still have fun even if your shooting percentage is complete trash?
It's donkey, yeah.
And if they're like, I still have fun. It's like, okay, well, it's not bad then.
That's fine. But if they're that's the thing. If they're really delusional and they're thinking, I got to go to the NBA, I think I'll be good enough to play for the Saigon Sharks over in in Asia. It's like, well, you got to unfortunately burst their bubble and say, look, man, it might be best. Like, sure, keep playing, but this might not be the best way to spend your time and, like, to progress with your life. You know what I mean? This might genuinely be a waste of your time. And it's like, you want people to pursue their dreams, but if they've been put in 20 years into it and they're still horrible,
not likely.
It's probably not going to happen for them,
Yeah, and I think it's beneficial to say your honest intentions as to why you're telling them that too. Because if you're like, honestly, like, I obviously, I don't want to have to say anything that's going to crush your dreams, and I want the best for you, and I want you to, like, be happy and stuff, but this is how I actually honestly feel. But I feel like in a lot of situations when you preface it with that, where you're like, I want the best for you, and this is why I'm telling you the truth, because if I didn't want the best for you and I didn't want good things, it'd actually be lying would be like, lying is worse off for that person, because they continue to live with a delusional mind and continue to practice all day long, or continue to believe that they're going to get to the NBA or whatever Asian league you mentioned,
the Chinese elite.
So it's actually, if people are believing lies, and that's another reason why lying's bad, is because you if you're lying to yourself, or if you're lying to other people, You get yourself and you get this other person destined to collide with reality. And when that happens, they're going to be in for trouble. Like, it's almost like telling the truth can be difficult, but if you don't do that difficult thing, like, it could be uncomfortable is what I mean. Like, it could be, you could hurt people's feelings or whatever. And that uncomfortableness, if you decide to pass on that and you decide, oh, I'm just going to tell them some random stuff to make them feel better. Yeah. And you decide to lie, it's almost like that lie is going to collect compound interest, and eventually it's going to hit them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
it's going to get bigger and the bubble is going to grow bigger and bigger until it bursts. Yeah. And then he's going to lose a lot of, not money, but emotional well-being, time, energy, whatever it is. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And he'll truly feel like all the time he put in was a waste. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, I can just take the difficult thing right now, pull the Band-Aid off in a sense. Yeah. And then we'll save him from a much deeper wound later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know if you'd seen this. I remember Joe Rogan said this to Brendan Schaub, the ex UFC fighter. Yeah. So essentially, the story is that like, just for people who don't know who these guys are, Joe Rogan, you should know who he is. But Brendan Schaub, ex UFC fighter, and Joe Rogan's friends with this guy, and he was trying to tell Brendan to retire.
Mm-hmm, yeah. You I know about this. Yeah.
So Brendan, he was like middle of the pack UFC fighter, like some wins, some losses. Yeah. And
couple KOs.
A couple of KOs where he got knocked out. And Joe was trying to tell him, like, hey, like, I think you should call it quits. Like, realistically, you're not going to be champion. And this is all live on a podcast. Mm-hmm. And Brendan was getting kind of upset. He's like, what do you mean? Like, I'm a pretty good fighter, no? Yeah. And, like, Joe's like, realistically, if you fought these top guys, you get
crushed.
You're gonna get ragdolled. Like, these guys are gonna destroy you, and this is obviously really harsh. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you're saving Brendan from getting devastated when he does lose these matches in the future. Yeah, and in the UFC in particular, you're saving him from more head damage.
Well, that's the thing. So, like, you're literally protecting his well-being, like his life almost, and his life down the road. You don't want him to be walking around with mashed potatoes for brains, you know, applesauce for brains. Yeah. You know, and because he, like you said, he's just not that great. And so the truth is, it's harsh in the moment, and it might be hard for the person to take, but you're really doing it for them and for their well-being, right? Yeah.
And Joe did it pretty well too, where he says, like, he's like, I'm saying this because I care about you and I don't want you to take damage. And like, he kind of prefaces it with the honesty about his intentions, why he's even saying it, which, like we said, is a good thing to do. And that one always just stuck out to me.
Yeah. Like, have you ever been in, like, kind of obviously putting you on the spot, but like been in a situation where like that, like someone told you, look, you're not the best futsal player, you're actually bad, and you gotta stop, or like something like that, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah. No, I don't know if it has happened. Just because I never took anything to like that extreme. Like, futsal was a casual on like weekends or something.
Yeah, and you still dominate. You dominate everybody. Yeah.
So if somebody came and was like, "Yo, you gotta stop," it's like relax. I played on Saturday for like an hour. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it has happened. Has that happened to you, where like someone's like, "Yeah, you gotta quit, call it quits," or whatever?
Yeah. Well, no. I guess it was kind of I didn't even have it. I asked you the question. You have nothing. You asked me the question, and no, thankfully I haven't. But I guess it's like kind of, maybe it's like, oh wow, you haven't dedicated yourself to something that big, you know.
But I mean, there might be minor things. I just can't remember them right now. Like, there's probably some minor things where people are like, oh, you should not do that. Like, or it might not be your whole career was set out to do something, but it's for a few weeks you were doing something, and it's like, yo, you got to stop doing that. Like, whatever it is, really. But there was one example that I always sticks out to me. It happened a long time ago, where I couldn't lie to this This guy on Xbox, and I'll say this story. I want, and then if you have something similar, feel free. But I was playing NHL.
Yeah.
And I was playing Hockey Ultimate Team.
Yeah.
So for people who don't really know what that is, it's basically
it's
like
a bad place.
Yeah, it's a bad evil place.
Yeah.
But no, it's like trading hockey cards essentially, but online. And what ends up happening is you collect hockey cards and you actually get to play with this team. Mm-hmm. So you could collect Sidney Crosby, Connor McDavid, and have them on your team. And so everybody's trying to collect the best players and collect the best cards to have on their team. Mm-hmm. And what started to happen was there's this scam going around where people would claim to you that if you just lent them their card, they would return it back later, and then give you something additional for free. And so like a lot of scams, it sounds kind of too good to be true.
Yeah.
But me and a couple of the lads fell for it.
Oh, yeah. Who, you and Nick?
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah, not a surprise.
Nick got busted. Shout out to Nick.
Shout out Nick.
But so what happened is me and Nick got scammed. I think I lost like a mid-level player. My team wasn't that great.
Which NHL was this?
It was probably like NHL 08 or something. It was,
08.
We were in high school, like grade 10 or 11 or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we both got scammed, but then by getting scammed, we figured out the scam, and we're like, oh shit, we need to get some players from other people. So let's start scamming them.
Shit.
And I went into the situation where I was talking to this one random guy, and I was telling him to send me his player, and he was just about to, and then I just cracked. I was like,
you couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I was like,
weak-minded.
I know, that's the thing. I was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, oh, at the last second, I'm like, oh, sorry, man. Like, you know what? I'm actually just scamming you right now. And he's like, I was like, you don't need to send me that. He's like, I just got scammed and I was trying to scam you to get some players.
Yeah.
And his reaction was like, oh, okay, dope. All right.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for not being a D-bag and scamming me.
Yeah. And then after that, I felt like what you were saying. I was like, man, why didn't I do that? Like, I was like, I couldn't scam some random guy I'm never going to see online.
Well,
and I was like,
couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that one always stuck out to me. And that, even though it happened a long time ago, because I actually was like thinking about that. I was like, why could I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't even really seem to care when I told him, oh, whoops, I was actually a scam. He's like, okay.
He's like, whatever.
Right, see ya.
Yeah. Well, that's yeah, and that's another big thing, like when it comes to, you know, being able to lie and scam, like we were talking about big corporations, but the whole, it's online, you don't know this person, you'll never see him again, it makes it easier. Obviously, you know, you can pull the trigger and get the Sidney Crosby card. But for me, like I have some pretty, like, you know, like I said, really honest guy, but when I was younger, and I think it's like a young person thing, like when you're younger, you're like, you don't think of the consequences and you're a lot more selfish, I think, than you are when you grow up. But so when I, like, video game related as well, used to play this game called RuneScape, and it so you can lure people, and like luring is like, you know, when you gain their trust and you say, like, a typical scam would be like, oh, we're shooting a video to put on YouTube, we need your help. And they'll be like, get all your best gear and come to this area. And like, oh, and they'll put some money like over in the dangerous area, and you'll be like, and then they'll be like, you just got to go and get it, and you'll get free money. And they show you it's a lot of money. So you're like, oh my god, why not? And then you go, and when you step out in the dangerous area, some other guy comes and jacks you and kills you, and you lose all your stuff.
Right, and that's why they tell you to put on your best gear, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, it's in that game, depending on how good you are or whatever, it takes a long time to earn this stuff.
Yeah.
So this has happened to me at one time, like when I was 9 years old, and I was about to go to, this is one of the most vivid memories of my life.
Yeah, traumatizing.
I was about to go to Florida, and then these guys, they
like in the game
in the
game to Florida?
No, in real life, so like happy times, right?
Right.
But like these guys I'm playing with, they're like, yeah, come here, and we're gonna team up, and we went out into the wilderness, it's called, and once you go over level 20 wilderness, you can't escape by teleporting out, which is like quick escape, no problem.
Right.
So they took me above level 20, and then I'm 9 years old. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm like, yeah, this is fun. And then they just start killing me, and I lose all my stuff, and I start crying. And
that's your life at that age.
That's my life. And my mom's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "They killed me. They took all my stuff." And she's like, "It's fine. We're going to fucking Florida, Disney World. Like, what's wrong with you?" So, but then that stuck with me, like the luring thing. Yeah. And like later on, once I had the cognitive ability to, know how to scam people, I did it. Me and my buddies would do it.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of sociopathic, I guess, because it happened to me.
Yeah.
It felt horrible when it did, but I would do it to these other people successfully.
Right.
And we'd be laughing when we're doing it.
Right.
We'd take these people's like hard-earned virtual, gear.
Yeah.
And we'd be laughing, and we'd be like, haha, this is funny.
Like
and
literally years
and
to earn some of that.
They'd be like, give it back. We'll be like, haha, no.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's crazy. And like now, I wouldn't do that because one, I don't play the game, but two, it's like, oh my God, that is just the lowest of the low. You're scamming literal kids. Yeah. Because like when you're an adult, you're not as dumb and you don't fall for that sort of thing. So you're scamming naive kids.
Yeah.
And they're going to be crying. And it's going to be horrible for them, traumatic.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like there is a silver lining in this.
You teach them.
You teach them a lesson. Do not trust strangers on the internet. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can't do that.
There's a great justification.
That's a scammer.
I'm teaching people. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I'm actually doing a good thing. I'm teaching these people. But yeah, like I think we've all like I said, when you're younger, you're more susceptible to be scammed, and you're probably more willing to scam because you're not worried about what the other person's feeling, because it's more selfish, right? And did the same sort of thing with Microsoft points as well back in the day.
A lot of
when
things
those still existed. So scumbag Reed
been around
circa 2013, but we've changed.
Just the amount of experience with the scamming.
Yeah.
But I feel like with a lot of things, it's like once you realize what it feels like to be scammed, then you'll be less likely to do it. For you, maybe because you got scammed at such a young age, it was like a little different. Like you just were like a savage kid, you just wanted your revenge. Whereas I think for me with this Hockey Ultimate Team thing, I was like, no, I don't know, like I felt so bad when this guy robbed me, so I probably won't do it. And then like you were saying, if it was like Sidney Crosby Golden, that's the card I was offering up to me.
People don't understand.
It'd be a little bit more tempting for sure.
Well, it's like the people don't understand, like that is so rare and so hard to get, and gives you such an advantage when you play. It's like the temptation is there to scam the kid online, you know what I mean? And
then you might feel a little bit worse though, because you're like, this kid, it's tough to get this card.
It's tough to get it, and he's going to be devastated.
He spent his life savings probably trying to get it.
Yeah. And that's the thing with that game. You can put, like with RuneScape, I guess it's like a black market. You could buy gold for real money. Yeah. But in Hockey Ultimate Team, it's like they promote it. It's like you buy packs and you spend real life money for these packs, and you can get these cards. So it's like you're literally taking real money from someone. I wonder if they could like you could get charged for theft.
You almost should be. Should be able to be.
But
I wanted to bring up another example. This one's a dicier one for sure.
Okay.
This one, I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble for even bringing up the question.
There we go.
But so let's say so let's say your girlfriend so here we go. Let's say your girlfriend she just got back from the doctor's office, and the doctor had told her that she's overweight.
The doctor said you're clinically overweight.
Like according to the body mass index, like BMI.
Yeah, I'm overweight as well according to the BMI. But anyways,
But then she comes home being like, "Hey, the doctor said this. Do you think I'm overweight?" And for this example, what if you honestly do think that? How are you navigating this situation?
So this is a dicey one, really dicey one.
Yeah.
I haven't been in this situation.
No,
thankfully.
I don't think most people have. This is kind of like a way out there situation. I mean, they both are, both the basketball ones.
Yeah.
Like, so they either crafted situations to be challenging on purpose.
Yeah. But like this, okay, so yeah, it's all about, like with the basketball one, how you approach it.
Yeah.
And even if you approach it perfectly, and if you're like, look, because like, not, I mean, me just talking to you, it's like hard to think of what you would say. Yeah. So imagine being in the moment, but I think you'd have to say like, look, and the thing is, if the doctor was like, yeah, you're overweight and it's going to impact your health seriously negatively, because like you can have an extra few pounds on you, but you're not going to get, you know, diabetes and have a heart attack.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So let's say for this example, maybe we
super morbid.
Make it a bit more of a severe case. Obese, we'll say.
Yeah.
Just so then the doctor could for sure say there will be some like health challenges here.
Well, exactly. And so that's the thing. It's like you would have to, the person, I think you might have to, if the person you're with can't recognize that they're super morbid, it's like, you know, maybe you reevaluate who you're with. But no, so like I'm sure the person you're with would be like, yeah, I kind of see this. But if they don't, you have to be the one to tell them. They come to you and say, am I overweight?
Yeah, let's say they don't. They say, no, I don't think I'm overweight at all. What do you like?
You would have to, I think you'd say like, look, baby, you've you know that I love you no matter what, and you're beautiful all the time to me and all that, but you got to think of like the long-term effects of this, right? You got to think of, is this healthy for me to be eating 2 bags of sweet chili heat a day? You know, it's like, and drinking 4 liters of super sugar Diet Coke or regular Coke.
Yeah, I don't know, a few Milano's pizzas,
a couple Milano, a couple wheels, right?
Yeah.
So you'd have to, if it impacts them negatively, similar with the Brendan Schaub stuff, if he's gonna get tuned up and like he might have long-term negative effects of that. Yeah, this person, my girlfriend, if
you actually want them to know, like,
exactly,
for their sake, for everybody's sake. And I feel like that's the main thing, is you tell them like, this isn't it's not necessarily nice. I don't feel good about having to say this, but I got to be honest, and I care a lot about you.
Yeah.
And I always want the best for you. And so, yeah, maybe there are some things that we could change with your
habits
health or whatever. Yeah. And then there's always the easy one to fall on, is like, well, to be honest, I mean, I'm no doctor, and if we're gonna trust anybody's opinion, it should probably be the doctors and not me even.
That's a great way out.
Which almost like makes the example I don't know, too easy to find a way out. Let's say you can't say that, and you gotta just be like,
I think if it has to do with their health and long-term health, you gotta let them know, right?
Yeah.
Because you just want them to die, have an early death, you know what I mean? Like, that's also like, think of the moral consequences of that.
Yeah, and you don't want this person going out into the world believing things that are contradictory with reality, because that's not beneficial for them, whether it's like not even just a health thing, whether it's just like a I don't know, like a diluted image of whatever. Like you just, it's like kind of like what we were saying before, is eventually you're going to run into the wall of reality if you're believing things that aren't true. And this is another one of those situations where, yeah, it might be very painful to hear this, but at the end of the day, I'm on your side, and like, I want the best for you. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think all those like examples are kind of related, as in it's all for their well-being, the other person's well-being, and telling the truth, as even though it might hurt in the moment, it's the right thing to do 85% of the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
85.
Yeah, I believe the 15% open.
15's pretty big.
15% open, right? You know, a white lie here, there. It's like, let's say they're like, if it's something, you know, like I mentioned the shirt, right? But if if it's really like, if you're picky about something it's like, yeah, you know, I really like shirts when they look like XYZ, and it's like, well, you know, you don't have to have, you know, a Nike logo on your shirt to make it look good. So yeah.
Right.
Bit of a, I don't even, yeah. So yeah, it's some things you don't need to point out the things you specifically don't like, because they might be good for other people, and just because you're telling your truth doesn't mean it's
subjective.
It's subjective, exactly. Yeah.
What do you think about the Santa Claus thing? Like, what do you plan on doing with your kids? Are you gonna tell them Santa Claus is real, or you're gonna say no? You know what?
Well,
it's fake.
Yeah, it's like, for kids, they can enjoy a fantasy. You know what I mean? It's like, you enjoy a fantasy. You enjoy, you know, believing Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, fucking Easter Bunny. They're all real. It's like, there's no consequence of telling them, yeah, Santa's real. It's fun.
A little bit though.
Oh yeah, you think so?
I think so. And even this happened with me and my parents, where like they told me Santa's real and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then I started to think about it. I was like, there's no way Santa goes to all these houses. I was like, we don't even have a chimney. Like, this guy,
where the hell is he coming from?
Thinking about all
kicking
that
down
stuff.
the front door.
Yeah, I was like, it just doesn't make sense. I was like, he's supposed to be delivering presents in Africa all in one night. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, in Africa. No,
but anyway, like when I realized that whole thing was fake, and then you remember all the conversations you had with your parents where they're like, Santa's coming, Santa's real.
Yeah.
And that at least gives you the realization that, oh, my parents have the capability to lie to me. And that's one effect that I realized. I was like, oh, damn, like, because maybe before a situation like that, you're like, oh no, my parents, they tell me it's all truth, and then you're like, oh wow, you guys lied to me there.
Well, that's a great point. And it's like, yeah, your parents probably lied to you growing up a hell of a lot more than just Santa Claus is real, and Tooth Fairy is real. So yeah, it is a bit of an eye opener once you do realize, once that light bulb goes on. It's like, oh my god, they can lie to me about the fat man flying around with deer delivering presents. You know, they've probably lied to me about a bunch of minor things here, there, and whatever.
Right.
And it's like, well, the thing with kids, especially when they're really young, it's like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can lie to them, but if you're lying to your 7-year-old, like, who really? It doesn't. In my opinion, I don't think it matters that much. It's not gonna affect them. If you're like, oh, if they say, I don't know, why is that guy sitting on the street? Back to homeless people. We love homeless people. Why is that guy sitting on the street? You say, what are you gonna say? Oh, he probably is addicted to heroin, and he lost. You know, he's on the street for it.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? You don't say that to them. You say, oh, you know, he's just having a rough time.
But that actually could be true.
It is true, but it's like, yeah, I guess it is true, and it's just not going into super detail, right?
Because I feel like you could almost say the truth like 99% of the time, but if you have a well thought out situation for it, because like we were saying with those couple examples, like if you're caught off guard on the spot, you might have a higher tendency to bring up a lie because you don't have the time to think thoughtfully of like, how can I say the truth but make it so I don't give my kids a weird I don't know, like a weird outlook on life, or like really upset some people. If you had the time for a lot of these things, I think you could be like truthful, like almost all of the time.
100% of the time. Yeah, probably.
Like if you have some good explanation for why Santa is actually fake and all that, I think you actually could. Yeah. Because there's another situation, and I'm not. You
hate your parents because they lied to you about Santa Claus.
I'm not still bitter.
You're bitter.
I'm not still bitter about it, but there was another situation where I was collecting these rocks, these quartz. It's like quartz, So I was collecting those rocks. And my dad, I guess, to make me feel excited or feel good, he was like, "Oh, those are really valuable." And then
a dozen.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
But I started collecting them, and I actually was telling my dad, I'm like, I'm gonna like collect a bunch, and I'm gonna sell them, and I'm gonna try to make some money on here. And he didn't want to, I guess, let me down at that point. He's like, "Okay, go ahead." So I collected up all these rocks, and I was like set on this plan of going and actually selling them and making some money.
Oh no!
But then
you go to the trade show. And they're like, these are worthless.
Yeah. I go to the auction and nobody's bidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, eventually we got to that point where he had to be like, oh no, they're actually not worth very much. And then it was another situation. I'm like, what the hell? Like, what is true and what is false? Yeah. It's like first Santa, now the quartz. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like even though those things seem like some minor things, I feel like it at least gives you that perspective that your parents could potentially lie to you, and then next time they're saying something to you, you're like, oh, is this true, or is this another Santa situation?
Is this another you know Santa fiasco?
Yeah.
Well, it's like you gotta think of it from your parents' perspective, right?
Yeah.
The joy and like the fun you have collecting these quartz and thinking, oh my God, Santa's here. Santa's gonna give me presents. Like that's a lot of fun for the kids, right?
Right.
You want them to have fun. That's what being a kid's all about. So it's like, maybe it's fine. It's like, depends how bitter, how much of a grudge you hold
20
against
years
your
later,
parents.
you're still right.
It's like, maybe the joy they get from that is worth the potential, skepticism they'll have toward they might hold against you going forward. But you're
weighing the odds a little bit, or the pros and cons.
Maybe when they realize, oh my God, my parents do lie to me, you can tell them, look, when you were a kid, we wanted you to have fun, this, that, and this, no hard feelings, son. But we just wanted you to have fun. So maybe, they'd have to be a pretty wise child to, have that conversation with them. But I think if they are smart enough to really catch on that you have been lying to them for, 10 years straight, then it's like, okay, well, you can say, look, it's just don't worry about it. Telling the truth is important, but we want you to have fun here. Like it's this. Yeah. You're probably not gonna have that conversation with your child, but
we're showing you the fun here.
Yeah.
But because the thing is, how much less fun are you having on Christmas if Santa's not real? Like you're still having some fun.
Yeah. Well, you're having a lot of fun. Yeah, that's great. But it's like. Yeah, I guess the excitement would be there.
You might have a little bit more excitement, but the cost is that now you see your parents as liars for
scumbags.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a tricky one. I'll have to think about it more when it comes time, or there's
when the kids are
maybe some
of
kids
age
to tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going just over an hour. I just want to bring up one more thing.
Yeah.
Before we wrap it up. I want to get your opinion on what you think about social media and lying. Like sometimes do you feel like Instagram in itself is just
Wish
lies?
We had more time for this one. This was
Well, we can go on it a little bit.
So it's a dangerous place. It's a really dangerous place.
Yeah.
And I feel like the people it affects the most are the people that don't have a ton of self-esteem. You know what I mean? If you don't have a ton of self-esteem and you see these people lying, or like, because a lot of people, they'll maybe influencers, but like fashion or like a model, like fitness models or whatever, fitness influencers
all over the place.
They're all over. Yeah. they'll
get you.
They'll get you. Well, they'll take the best angles, photos with the best angles, best lighting. And it's
maybe
like that's
tune it up a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Not Photoshop, but whatever software they use to make it look better, they'll tune it up to make it look so good. And in reality, like no one looks like that just walking around on the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then people they look at them like, I want to be like that. I want to be like that. But it's just not real. Maybe it is realistic if you just take those same angles and edit the photo the same way they do. But that's not what they look like walking around.
No. And even just like your average person's page, do you ever feel like if you're just looking at like your own page or just some random who's not necessarily a fitness model, it's not like direct lying, but there's some, it's in a sense there seems like some lies where it's like you're putting on a distorted view
of your,
where there's some deception here, where it's like there's only the pictures of you having a blast, like out there, like jet skiing or whatever.
Well, like what do you? Yeah, and that's a great point. Yes, they're like Instagram and Facebook. It's usually just highlighting all the best times in your life,
Yeah.
So it's not, well, I guess it's like if you're withholding information, that's a form of lying sort of thing, right? But me personally, you just have to know that that's what's going on social media.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to be posting the good things about their lives, because
you don't want to be posting. You don't want to be posting like fighting with your family, or
it's like
taking the garbage out. Or
it's like, Thanksgiving dinner, we screamed at each other. And
you catch that on Snapchat. Or whatever.
It's like that's
a little family fight. But isn't that fair? That's the most honest thing to do. You need to have a perfect percentage. Like, a certain percent of your pictures, are you happy? A certain percent, are you
worst
fighting with
your
life?
Yeah. Like, for every 3 good photos I post one me fighting with
crying.
loved ones. Yeah. But no, I see exactly what you're saying. It's not like people are just showing the good things about their lives, and
right.
It's like a personal thing. You have to just be aware that that's not what everyone's life is like. Everyone goes through problems, no matter how great their Instagram page looks.
Yeah.
And you just have to be aware of that. Like, just because they're posting photos of them traveling everywhere doesn't mean that they didn't have a fight with the person they were traveling with. Let's say someone is traveling with their boyfriend, right, and they see all these great photos. Wow, they must be having a blast. I guarantee they've had multiple fights or little bickering bouts.
Maybe even like right before the picture itself. You know
oh
what I mean?
yeah,
it's like a little scrap. And it's like, oh wait, picture time. A little smile pops up.
I'd be lying.
You caption it, greatest night ever, and it's like,
yeah, exactly.
You're just fighting all night.
Yeah,
and that's what I mean. Where you'll see some stuff like that happen, where it's like, you might even see people where it's like, you end up posting the pic, and it's like, oh, best night. Like,
it's like, you were there.
It's like I was there. I saw you.
I saw you fight. I saw you have a horrible night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be lying if I said, and I don't lie. Like, I'm an honest person, right? So I'd be lying if I said that every photo that I have, like, it's a happy photo, I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Every photo is in that night or that moment, it was all good and everything was great. Like, it's like, there's definitely been times where I've taken a photo. Photo turns out well, but and then I hate the person.
The night was kind of trouble, but the photo just somehow turns out flawlessly. So you're like, gotta put it out there.
I'll take it. Yeah. But social media, it's a scary place, because if you're not aware of the reality behind everyone's lives, you could fall into that trap of thinking, why is my life not good enough? Why don't I look like this? Why don't I have that car? And it's really not even like, it's just not real. That's not reality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because it's funny to think of like people actually posting the bad stuff too. Like, that's just like, that's not really ever gonna happen. But it is crazy, because you'll even see like some pictures of, like, for Snapchat, for example, people will get all fired up, like right when they turn the video on. Yeah. Like, just like, woo, like screaming, like having a blast. And then as soon as they take their thumb off the video, they're just like, oh fuck, no. Just like back to like,
they just go stare at their phone.
So in that sense, you're almost directly uploading a lie, or like at least a clear deception. But that, like we're saying, you're not going to post the stuff that's you in your worst moments.
Exactly.
So it's just kind of the name of the game of social media. That I guess you just have to understand that and not get too tripped out about it when you see other people doing it.
Exactly. It's all, you just have to go into it and think, they probably had a shit night. You just always gotta think they probably had a bad time. They didn't have fun. They had a bad time. But no, like, it's, you just have to be aware of that going into it.
But it's been a good podcast.
It was
wrap
great.
It up here.
No, I'm down. I had a great time.
We should fire off some more.
Oh, absolutely. Bring in a couple friends, that sort of thing, and a couple people coming down the road. So
a couple extra mics here. So
absolutely.
Stay tuned for some more, and thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye.